Two Mortgage Guys podcast. I'm so stoked to have you back on here with me. I have a very special guest today, and I say special because for some reason I've been able to have some really cool blasts from the past, and I have Sniff with me today from the Temecula Chamber of Commerce and our Valley Young Professionals, which is in addition to the Chamber. We happen to go to school together. I know her brother. It's just kind of a weird small world thing. I guess that's what happens when you're in Temecula. But honestly, she's just a really genuine person, does a lot of great things for the community, for people that are trying to build small business, trying to build awareness, just trying to get their feet on the ground. And I can't be happier to have her today because she's just a really incandescent personality, and she's a lot of fun to be around. So without further ado, welcome, Miss Sydney Sniff.
Thank you. Yay!
The crowd goes wild.
Okay, sorry.
That's what I have to do in my head to make myself excited.
I feel it. I feel very excited.
I'm so happy
Stone
for
face,
you.
yeah.
I can tell.
Thank you. I'm happy for you.
All right, Sydney, so let's get down to this. I'm actually really enjoying this because you and I have been so busy with business since we have already connected and been like, oh yeah, we all know each other from Calvary.
Yes.
We all went to, a bunch of us apparently are in the same business world, all went to Calvary Marietta, which no longer has a high school, which is sad.
Really sad, actually.
It is. It's sad when your alma mater is no longer there.
Right? And you're just like, wah, wah.
Yeah, wah, wah.
I know. How do we go to a reunion?
We can reunite outside of there. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, fair.
Okay.
The like gazebo area.
Yeah, we the gazebo.
Get picked up.
Just a whole bunch of former Calvary kids like, we wish you were still here.
Someone's out there dress coding us still.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I never really got dress coded.
Oh, well.
I mean, there was the halter top I wore.
You're better than the rest of us then.
I just, I didn't want to make anybody stumble.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. But I do want to go down that route because since we've been doing everything so professional lately, I feel like I haven't been me around you, and I want to know who you are. So tell me a little about yourself. I mean, aside from Calvary, like where were your steps like either before or after that you'd like to kind of address, and kind of what got you into the role that you're in today?
Yeah. Gosh. So Calvary. I guess I'll start there. I went there until 10th grade and then switched to public school with my brothers. Graduated from Great Oak High School in Temecula. So I've lived in Temecula since I was 4. Okay. So, John, I think we share this sentiment in that when we lived here, it was before, the mall was here, the movie theater, any of these fun things that are coming in that have been established.
Absolutely.
I think one time you said it, the only market was like the Hazit Mart.
Yep.
And I don't even remember that. I remember when Albertsons was Lucky's, but...
That's because I'm older than you.
Listen, we don't talk about it, though.
I don't have to talk about it. My bald hair already just expresses that.
Yeah. So yeah, I've lived here my entire life. Temecula is very much my home. After high school, I went to Palomar College in San Marcos. Okay. Did a few years there, as one does. And then I transferred to Cal State San Marcos, majored in communication.
Nice. And,
I never knew what I wanted to do as far as a career. I kind of have always defaulted to, it'll work out. God has a plan for me and I'll end up where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
So straight out of college, I did a few different jobs. I worked for a general contractor. I worked for an accountant. And then I ended up in the wedding world as a coordinator.
I did not know this about
you.
All right.
Fun facts.
Hey-o.
So I did that for the past 2 years, actually. So through a pandemic, and kind of just got to a point where weddings, as amazing and wonderful as they are and important, they weren't important to me. I didn't see... I think that there's bigger things in the world.
That's fair.
Yeah.
No, and I mean, to your point, like, there's been a lot of things I've had the blessing of being a part of, and you can see exactly why it's a huge ordeal.
Absolutely.
But if it's not your calling, if it's not your passion,
right.
There's no point in being there.
Right, absolutely. So I kind of toyed with the idea for a few months of, pursuing other opportunities and ended up leaving. That position, though, was something that very much formed me in who I am today and my career. And a lot of, Calvary lent a lot to this too, but it formed a lot of how I treat people and interact with them.
Sure.
So the personality is mine, but it's been refined by kind of weddings and the different, people that I've met and had to work with. So all good in the end. But so once I stepped away, I just kind of took the time to find something that fit me, and I stumbled across the posting for the chamber. I applied, and everything that was kind of listed as far as the job, I was like, yes, like this sounds like me. I can do this. I've done this. So it was really something that kind of not fell into my lap, but I feel like was sent to me.
Sure.
So yeah, that's how I ended up at the chamber.
Yeah.
To be very honest, I had no idea what a chamber was or what a chamber did before I started working there. So it was a crash course. I just started working there in March, which crazy that it's already October. Time flies.
It sure does.
Yeah. So I started there. March is the membership coordinator. So that's where I spend most of my time.
Very cool. I don't think I even realized you were that fresh to it. I thought you'd been here for a couple of years already.
That's good to hear.
That's a great thing. I mean, honestly, if people can't tell your seasoning on that regard as far as being newer, that means you fell in the role pretty nicely.
Yeah, I mean, you can speak to this too. The team at the chamber is incredible. In the sense of training you up and just making sure you're equipped and have the tools that you need and know who you need to know to kind of get you started and get you running. So
yeah, well, and I think I want to address that in a minute because once we hit the chamber, I think we'll be there for a while because I love the heck out of the chamber. You know I do.
You and me both, yeah.
Yeah, and then all the ladies there. I actually was just sending an email back to Megan a minute ago. So I mean, I'm a huge fan of you guys, clearly. But kind of going back to what prepared you, I think that's a really interesting way to take this because we're going to touch on Valley Young Professional soon. And I think that's the stepping stones that people just don't realize, right? Like we talk about this all the time in my job, like stuff that my partner Willie and I address is a lot of young people get into the world and there's like this, where do I go now?
Sure.
How do I do this? Like, how is this going to help me? And if you can really capitalize on the moments of the things that you have and rely on the providence that's provided to you, that God gives us these things that we have. But if you look at the job opportunities, like a wedding coordinator, that's a big deal. Like that's a lot of communication and you went to school for communication, so that helps.
There it is.
But there's a lot of high stress, a lot of fun people in weddings. We don't have to go into any specific clients, but Bridezilla is a term for a reason.
There's also their MOMs.
I was going to say moms and mother-in-laws are a thing.
Well, God love them. We love them all.
Absolutely. And you know what? We dads don't get out of that because once it starts talking to the finances and stuff, all of a sudden...
Oof, yeah. Buckle up. You have little ones, but it's coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to gouge out there. No, I'm just kidding.
Default to me.
Yeah, I will talk to Sydney so I can stay sane. No, but that's a lot of things to handle. So you're handling a lot of parties. You got a lot of vendors to deal with. And I like using that word because that's what we use in the chamber for a lot of things. And you're going to be dealing with a lot of coordinating times and places and all the way down to the seconds of the bride will be here. Now she will be here. And if she's not here, everything falls apart and we all die. No, yeah, this is very egregious and we're talking very, very melodramatic. But let's be honest, when it comes to weddings, people speak that way.
It's life or death.
Yeah, it is. And so for you, it's kind of interesting because you probably never thought in your wildest dreams like this was going to set you up for a job with a really, in my opinion, a fairly high-profile job at the Temecula Chamber of Commerce. And like you said, you didn't even know that's what you were getting into.
Right.
But it's great. And honestly, I think that's kind of the beauty of the situation. I think with chambers and businesses and administrations, it's nice to have a fresh set of eyes, a fresh set of ears, a fresh set of hands that are coming in from a very different perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's been a lot of the value that I've seen from you is, and I've even had remarked by different people in the chamber, I don't have their permission to quote them, so I won't, but like other businesses and whatnot, people saying they really like the approach that you've taken since you've come in. So, hats off to you for that.
Thank you.
I know it's always embarrassing to have someone like dumping things on you, but...
No, continue.
Yeah,
just kidding.
No, please continue. I'm so modest. So hats off to you for that, because honestly, like I said, I really thought you'd been here for more than just this year.
That's good. Good to know and good to hear. Yeah, it means I'm doing my job right.
It does, absolutely, because if you didn't, I'd be like, well, how long has this person been here?
Yeah.
So there's that, and then kind of the interesting segue from that, too, is like, you just never know like what skill sets are going to marry with your current job. And I would say a lot of that kind of being the central of mayhem is really kind of what you're doing right now. I mean, you're kind of in the middle of, and it's not to say that everything's disorganized and to make it commerce, but when you're dealing with a lot of different angles of people that are not communicating with each other, because I'm not communicating with every business that's contacting me. And then you have to be the liaison for all of that. That's, that's testament to communication.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really does go back to the weddings and the coordination. And to speak to what you were saying as far as not realizing how little time I had been there, I think it was something the wedding world had kind of prepared me to take the initiative and grab the bull by the horns and own it. That's actually something that Brooke, our current and new CEO, really encouraged me as I started growing in my position was own your position and own your department. That's where you're going to be successful and how you're going to be successful. So I've learned so much already just in this short time that I've been there. But I think that also speaks to the chamber in the way that not only are they growing our community and our businesses and, problem solving for the people on the outside, our members, it's internal too. Yeah. So we're constantly growing. We're very much a unit of bettering each other and empowering each other. And I know we'll get to this, but same with Valley Young Professionals. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, and we can use that as a segue, honestly. I'm totally fine with that because Valley Young Professionals, for anyone who doesn't know, and no, it's been addressed actually once before when Brooke was in here from the chamber, and that was a really fun conversation. But it was actually very lightly addressed because that's why we brought her in for this specificity of it all. Baby mama. That's right, you and I did that at the cornhole tournament. I'm the only guy that knew what that was. And I'm like... You were the only person that knew what that was. I was just
that's
usually
true.
It's crickets. And I'm just like, baby mama, you guys.
I know. Well, I am glad... You're right. I'm glad that no one else knew. But I'm also really glad that it wasn't a bunch of girls that knew. And I'm just in the middle like, hey! But either way.
Oh, that would have been so much better.
I would have still repped it proudly. Because honestly, I watched that movie with my wife.
Great movie.
It is very funny.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Total side anecdote, but I'm okay with that. Rabbit trails are my
quotable.
Yeah, absolutely. So, with the Valley Young Professionals, total wonderful extension, and I mean, let's use some biblical terms here. It's kind of like a hands and foot version of an extending from the chamber, right? Yeah. So, what I like about it is what we addressed a second ago is a lot of young people have a hard time taking that next step out in the professional world, or the ones that did all of a sudden kind of need some sort of liaison to get them into the next step, right? And that's kind of what Valley Young Professionals seeks to do. I think sometimes people get the wrong idea about it, and I'll speak from outside looking in. Yeah. Because when they start hearing things, they either start judging it as a clique or an exclusive only group because of the age requirements and stuff. And what they don't realize is what we're trying to do is equip people that otherwise wouldn't be getting this equipment and then will benefit everyone in return anyways. Right. And I think that's... honestly, I gained that from watching how you've operated it. So, I mean, is there anything else you'd like to expand on that, like what you guys do? Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head. Something I always have in my mind as far as Valley Young Professionals is our current chairperson put it to me this way, that she wants VYP to be known as, the young business people in the community that are being trained up to be future business leaders. And that sticks with me in everything that I do for VYP, because it is so hard to come out of college and try to find a job, try to find the right avenue. What are your resources when you get out of college to find a job? I mean, when I graduated college, I joined the Alumni Association for the sake of I had access to, I guess, not higher profile jobs, but jobs that weren't on Indeed or LinkedIn or that sort of thing. And the pool was smaller, so I had more opportunity. That's something that Valley Young Professionals really seeks to provide, is that just direction and those connections. And something I think people don't realize too is that VYP isn't just for, those in that 21 to 40 range. You can be a chamber member and have a VYP membership. We want our members to designate people from within their organization to participate and attend VYP events and education workshops and lunches and just network and get to know each other. Chick-fil-A is a great example where it's all young people there. I'm sure you know, John. I may know a thing about that place. Have you heard of Chick-fil-A? I went there twice. Almost like I worked there. The sweet tea?
let me tell you.
Yeah, I'm not even actually a sweet tea fan, and I
No,
used to
you drink.
those, yeah.
Good man.
I did it just for you.
Knew it. And you knew we'd circle back eventually, and you could
I had
be like,
to be there for it. I had to be like, I did it. I swear.
did it, and I liked
Be
it.
proud, please.
You're welcome.
Okay.
No, Chick-fil-A has already kind of tapped on some people within their organization, because Chick-fil-A can be a forever, but when people want another step or another avenue, they want to take their skills elsewhere. That's what VYP is for. You have those connections in other industries and just things you might not have ever known you were interested in. VYP, our membership base is smaller than the chamber, but we still have a lot from different industries. There's attorneys, there's medical professionals, nonprofit organizations, designers. I mean, you name it, there's someone in there represented. So it's just there to kind of be your first step and your guidance. And I wish I'd had known of VYP when I graduated college, or even when I was in college, and just such a good resource and helpful tool, amongst other things.
Absolutely. And I think it's the basic principle. What's that saying? It says you can give a man a fish, or you can teach him to fish, right?
There you go.
And you give a man a fish that he eats for a day. If you teach him to fish, he eats for a lifetime.
Right.
I think that's the whole nature. I mean, the chamber, you could probably argue, meets that whole mantra, but I think that the VYP is really where that is really applied, because when we think about teaching someone any kind of new skill set, we think of the younger people typically. Because our older generation are the ones that already know and are refining, and so their aid tends to be different.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there isn't some niches that we can help them with, but so I really like that kind of roadmap that you spoke about of delivering steps and delivering different avenues and even delivering different people for them to come to, because like we talked about, I mean, when I started my career, I was hardcore and in and out as a GM, you know what I mean? Like, I never thought I'd end up in mortgages. Yeah. And here I am. And I take everything that I've ever learned in the food business, from in and out to Chick-fil-A, or even the small time I ran a church, like all of that stuff prep me to be who I am now, and tooled me to have the tools that I have now. And if you don't take it that way, you are squandering your time. That's I think the biggest concern I hear with young people today is they don't take jobs because they think it's a waste of their time. A lot of these entry levels, it's never a waste of your time if you learn to apply it to something later. And you take those basic principles. Like I tell people all the time, aside from the millions of other things I learned, that if nothing else from in and out, I learned the importance of being on time. I learned how to be professional in a workplace and how to deal and communicate with people on a different level. You learn different qualities of work and different things like that in their structures. So if you leave that, even if you're only in for a few months and you gain nothing, then that's the only time it's a waste. And so I think what Valley Young Professionals does is great, because it's really like we're not going to let you not optimize your time.
Absolutely. That's exactly it.
Yeah. So that's really cool. I like that. So let's circle back a little bit, since we went to VYP a little quicker than I expected.
Sorry.
It's fine. It's almost like you're passionate about it or something.
You.
Can you just believe her? It's almost like she's in charge of it.
Rude of me.
Oh, so ridiculous. We'll get a better guest. No, I'm just kidding. It's right here. The better guest is right here. So now let's talk a little bit about the chamber, because it is fun talking about you ladies. And I will tell you something. I come in there a lot because I need to now with all the meetings and stuff that I pop into, but it's fun walking in. Oh, sure, you say like I just walk in. I need a home. I'm here.
They told me not to come back to my office.
Everyone told me to leave, but I came anyways. No, but every time I walk in, I seriously have so much fun because I'm talking to somebody, and what's interesting too is it's not like I walked into a building full of like extroverts, right? Like, because then you're like, okay, of course, they're all very different personalities. 100%. I mean, like. You and Katie are night and day. You and Megan are night and day. You and Brooke are night and day. But that's great. And it's fun because no matter what, I still walk in feeling like I'm being welcomed home. That you guys have that kind of homogenous kind of harmony that you guys have created. Yeah. And people walk in feeling very comfortable.
Oh, glad to hear that.
So I kind of want to pick on that a little bit, because I've gotten to listen to the CEO and president, not the interim anymore, as when she was first interviewed.
Miss I know. Look at that. Oh, you'll have to get her back as the official.
I know. See, we have to make it official now. Brooke, you're stuck.
Yeah.
We just turned 2.
Yeah.
Maybe 12. So tell me, what do you think are some of the reasons for that success? Because, again, being I'm not trying to like make everything about my past here, but
And please do.
coming from, please don't. It's long and arduous and boring. But coming from the past of running organizations that I have, I can tell you right now that having that kind of welcoming environment that is genuine, because you can tell it's fake,
Sure.
but it's genuine and that you guys actually enjoy each other's company is actually not easy to achieve. So what do you think brings that about?
Gosh, that's a really good question.
Better answer it right.
I know, it's really better. It's loaded. You're not the first person that's actually expressed that sentiment towards us, is that, people feel very welcome and very comfortable and at home, which, I think that's something in each one of our personalities. For me, I know that, something that's always at the forefront of my mind is I always want people to know that they're valued, that, they're important, and how can I help them feel that?
Yeah.
And I think I might be reaching, but I think that's something that's probably in each and every one of us. And that is something that the chamber pushes as a whole. Every single member is valuable, not in money and dollars, but because they're a part of our community, because they bring something to the community, and they're just, the chamber members are so passionate about the chamber and each other. A lot of those that are in the office now have actually been part of the chamber to some extent and seen that benefit, and, they want to, now that they're on the other end, make sure everyone else sees that benefit too. And we're not all extroverts, but I think that we're all very much people.
Yeah.
We love people.
Well, absolutely. Well, I mean, I'm a huge extrovert. Surprise.
You?
Who knew?
What?
Not me. Still figuring it out. But my wife is the complete opposite.
Sorry.
However, you will never find someone who loves people more than her. Right?
I love that.
Because there's a different way to love people. It's a different kind of intimacy. Like, I jokingly, when we talk about me and Willie being partners, he's more on the extroverted side of things as well. But
Willie?
A little bit. Just a little. He's crazy. We're checking him out. But there's a different nuance to it. Like, I'm much more of the upfront sales type, and he's much more of the intimate, like, one-on-one type. Yeah. Which is why we work out the way that we do, and we jokingly call ourselves the mortgage mullet and all that stuff.
I hate that.
Yeah. You don't like the mortgage mullet comment?
No.
It's a great seller. They come for me and they stay for him.
That's fair. Fair.
You don't have to like it. It's fine. I'll just cry tonight.
My opinion doesn't matter.
I'm just going to cry tonight. It's fine.
Just a typical Wednesday.
Yeah. I got to cry through hump day. But to your point, I think it does start from the top. So not just to give her credence because she's family, but Emily finding the right talent is always a start, right? You can read a million leadership books and organizational books. If you can find the right talent, you're going the right place, right? Then you have the nuance of some really developed leaders already within the chamber, i.e. Brooke Nunn, right? We have other ones, but we'll just start with her since she's the new president.
There she is.
And she's somebody that clearly, from what I've already seen in the time that I've been in the chamber, which is not long, is great at nurturing and developing, which is what you need. Right. And then the other part of this that I think is a really nice, like, kind of foundation is because you guys are mostly new, growing together is one of the easiest ways to get close. Absolutely. Because when you're going through the same turmoils and the same pains and the iron is sharpening iron, right? It creates a really beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that speaks to kind of maybe feedback you've heard about, not necessarily me, but just that kind of newness and freshness that just keep saying.
It's always all about you, Sydney,
okay? Thank you. I came to the right place today.
No, I think I really like your take on it, though, and I think that's a interesting way to see that is, it started from the top, but you also have new blood and it's kind of a beautiful family that kind of came together from that.
Yeah, and too, there's still the deep-rooted traditions and kind of chamber history, and that's always so important to us. You probably have heard of the legacy partners, and so we haven't lost the core of the chamber. The core will always be at the forefront, I think. I think we're all kind of coming together, like you said, in a way that continues to develop it and grow the community. So
well, I think also you guys have a tremendous amount of respect for what you entered.
Absolutely.
To kind of bring up the legacy part of it, because if you guys had come in and let's say which would be really funny with her personality. But if like Elaine came in and was like, all of this is terrible, and starts like flipping tables, and I'm gonna change.
She did that.
Okay.
What are you talking
Elaine,
about?
I knew it. This is why you won't come on the podcast.
This is why, because she knows she's in trouble.
She knows what she did. I saw it. No, but she's going flipping tables and changing things. It's not that change is bad, but understanding the respect level of when and how to do it.
Right.
Kind of creating that temperature and that barometer for people to be able to walk in with that together. And heck, you guys in the middle of a pandemic where everything was on Zoom.
Yeah, gosh.
That's insane.
I mean,
so serious kudos to you guys.
Thank
for that.
you.
If nothing else, that's a mic drop for our chamber because
just knock the mic.
And like, hey, by the way, we did that on Zoom.
By the way, we are thriving on Zoom.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah, I'm sure you're glad to be back in person.
Yes, it's very nice.
Yeah, so that's really cool. That's one of the reasons why I love the chamber. I think that's the reason why you guys see the numbers are skyrocketing. I know in all the monthly meetings, we keep hearing how many people are joining, how many people are renewing. And while we're hearing a lot more people like, oh yeah, I recruited this person or I brought this person, that's got to be great from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, we are up to our eyeballs in new members and touching base with them and just, making sure to welcome them and get them immediately plugged in. We're doing good, and it's exciting to see.
I don't expect you to have all the statistics on the top
I
of your
don't.
head. It's okay.
I mean,
again, I'll just cry
it's a lot.
No, it is a lot. And honestly, I mean, and that's another thing I want to throw kind of as a respect to you on this. Running your position in the chamber already is busy enough. Running Valley Young Professionals is a separate job.
Yes.
You're doing both.
Yeah.
And you're doing it both really darn well.
Thank you.
And like I said, that's for you to be doing both of those things starting at the beginning of this year, and I have not noticed. I mean, not that I'm like the gauge for all of this, but I could guarantee I could talk to a lot of people, and most of them would never have known.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good to hear.
Yeah. So a couple questions for you on kind of like the way things are going.
Sure.
It's nothing scary. Are there some events coming up for VYP or the chamber that you think we should be broadcasting? Shouting out?
For the chamber, our next big event, by the time this airs, is going to be our member appreciation in December.
Okay.
I unfortunately don't have the date off the top of my head, but that'll be our next big one.
Okay.
For VYP, we just had our biggest fundraiser and event.
And it went really well.
Really well. I mean, I can't sing the praises enough of those that put it together.
Yeah.
We doubled what we did last year as far as fundraising. I finished reconciling things this morning, which is amazing, especially, I mean, to go back to last year and even sing their praises more. I mean, they put that cornhole tournament on in the middle of COVID and, continued to stick to the heart of things and stay fun and just kind of maybe bring a little bit of relief to the community in that time. And did really well last year, but just so proud of how it went this year. And so that happened. That was last week. I'm still recovering.
I believe it. Honestly, like, I was the guy that got to come in and sit on the meetings and be like,
you're welcome.
I don't have to do anything, but this sounds great.
You contributed a lot, and we were definitely thankful, and you continue to contribute.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. Take what I give you.
Yeah.
Yes, that, and then, so each month with VYP, we have a monthly a lunch. It's the second Friday of each month. So we usually will pick a local restaurant. October is going to be at Crush and Brew. November we'll select a different location, and so on and so forth. Also upcoming in October, we have our mixer at Akash Winery, where we're doing a production tour and just hanging out. Something about the mixers for VYP is the intent of them, of course, is to network and get to know each other. But it's really to kind of give a more comfortable atmosphere, I suppose is the word for it, for younger professionals, because this is something I even experienced, but walking into a mixer with, seasoned business professionals and CEOs and directors, it can be intimidating.
Yeah.
And it helps to be among your peers. So that's kind of a big part of our mixers and just creating that comfortability and, allowing people to grow in a comfortable space before they're fed to the sharks.
Well,
no, I'm just kidding.
No, absolutely. I think that's a really good definition of mixers, I don't think we've really addressed that on any of the podcasts what the Chamber have done, is I think a lot of times people only think of a mixer as my way to network for more business.
Yeah.
But what they don't realize is you're creating family, you're creating actually almost a network of help. And a community that you didn't once have.
Right.
And it is a big deal. I've talked to business partners that have literally just moved into the area, and I'm sure you've met them, and it's a different animal coming to a place where you have no connections.
Right.
I mean, you and I'm like, I've been here 30, 40 years. I already know half the people here, like, you've been here for forever.
Right.
Well, I mean, a lot less forever than I have because you're younger. But you know what I'm saying? And so it creates that kind of dynamic where you actually have a Rolodex to lean on for things, which is a big deal.
Right. I mean, and to that same point, I mean, I really thought that I knew everyone having lived here for so long. I mean, my mom is friends with County Supervisor Washington's wife. And I was like, I know them all. I know everyone. I'm Marianne Edwards. Yeah. But I didn't. As I started working in the chamber, I was like, oh, no, I don't know anyone, and all these, common businesses and the people associated with them and, the influential people in the community that you don't know. So that was very eye-opening and just, gosh, some of our members do so much for not only the chamber, but the city and the surrounding areas. Sure. And, it's hard not to catch that passion and enthusiasm. Sure. And I think that's something too that every single one of us working at the chamber has, is that same passion. Yep. And we draw a lot from our members too. Yeah. I mean, it's nothing short of inspiring. So. Yeah.
Speaking of that passion, that's kind of something that I like, that I've gotten to be looped into probably for the last month and a half with VYP, is the passion of the leadership positions that exist within VYP. Yeah. And I think this is an important thing to draw to, because ironically, people like me that tick the way that we do, that's kind of a fun thing for us to wrap our heads in, right? Because if we want to be in something, we want to be in something. Right. And so for people that are in the VYP possible discussion, just kind of a quick rundown, if you would, of what's available to them position-wise, what they would actually be doing in those positions, and, what's maybe been accomplished by them already.
Yeah, good question. So there are essentially 10 leadership positions. It's similar to what the chamber has as far as our board of directors. Right. I'll say this, that the leadership team is the driving force behind Valley Young Professionals. I'm there to enable them. I give them the tools. Everything you see coming out of VYP is them. So as far as roles, there is, I should say, a chairperson and a co-chair. Okay. So they kind of oversee things, and really their responsibility, again, is that kind of driving behind VYP. So the idea is the implementation.
Sort of vision casting?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And that goes back to kind of the vision that was expressed to me, is that we want VYP to be known as, where the young professionals can come. Yeah. There's also events. There's a co-chair and a chairperson. They're the ones putting on cornhole. They're the ones putting together lunches, mixers. So it's an intensive role for them. It requires a lot of planning and work and time. Yeah. They do phenomenally, though. We also have education chair people. They put on quarterly education workshops. So, I mean, that's anything from estate planning we've had, or, budgeting for this or that, the other. Yeah. We had recently a life coach kind of advise and, help. I mean, these are
she
tools.
Did a great job.
Yeah, she was awesome. These are tools that you're not necessarily seeking out as far as education, or wouldn't think to seek out. And it just goes back to equipping young professionals as far as those education workshops. Usually there's lunch too, so that helps. But
lunch always
lunch
helps.
And learn, if you will. There's also community outreach. Again, chair and co-chair positions. They right now are very much focused on essentially philanthropy. There might be a little bit of a shift in the sense that they might become more of like business relations between VYP and businesses in the area. So I feel like maybe not every business knows what Valuing Professionals is and what benefit they could have from it as far as people within their organization. So I think that's the intent or the course that the community outreach person is going to take. And then last but not least, we have a communications position as well, which is essentially social media, email marketing campaigns, that sort of thing. And again, I mean, this is something that may not be a person's job, you know?
Yeah.
But they're good at it.
Yeah.
They have a passion for it. They
Absolutely.
want to do it and use those skills. So I feel like there's maybe something for everyone. But the chairs essentially hold the hand of the co-chairs and kind of teach them the way. And there's an opportunity for co-chairs to step into those positions as well. So.
Well, yeah, and I think also there's a little bit of that president, vice president role where it's like when one's in one place, they can help be there for them. And there's some of that nice role. I really like the leadership positions too, not just because for busybodies like myself, it gives us more to do.
Sure.
But also, I mean, it creates ownership, it creates responsibility and tools, builds tools in people, like you said, and highlights gifts they may not even known that they had. But the other part behind that as well is, as a benefit, not that I wouldn't want to make it sound like it's all about like greed or whatever, but for the people that are involved, it's great exposure. I mean, you're getting into literally the chamber already, and then you're going to be the most involved people at every event. So they're going to get a lot of face time with you. They're going to recognize you as the person that helped them. They're going to know who you are. And I mean that as a big deal because, unfortunately, we are geared to think, well, what's in it for me? And the reality is, I understand you guys got to run businesses. You got to do things, and we're all here trying to get to make a buck. And so if you're really looking at this, you're like, well, that's a lot of time. But the equity that you get back into it's worth it. You know, and seeing what these guys pull off, what they get to do, who they get to do it for, the rewards out of that is definitely worth the time.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I say it all the time with the chamber. In our welcome orientations, I probably said it to you, but, you know, you get back what you give. And I think that most come from a place of what can I give first. I hear it every week in welcome orientations with new members that, you know, we want to give back. We want to be involved, but we want to give back.
That's
and
great.
I think, that's the heart of it too. So same thing with VYP. I mean, the leadership committee, I can't express enough how much they give. And something to keep in mind is that these are essentially volunteer positions. So I'm, you know, sometimes in awe of them and everything they do. So.
Well, and you know what? There's a saying in an older movie that says attitude reflects leadership.
What movie?
Remember the Titans?
I love... Preach.
Girl. All right. I don't know why I did that. We're just totally ruined like the profoundness of this moment. It's okay. That's my life in a nutshell.
You can't be serious for more than 2 seconds.
I can't do it. It's impossible.
It would be,
It's not
something would be wrong.
Yeah.
You'd probably be dead.
Well, that's comforting. Don't tell us. We're good. So what I was going to say is actually that kind of is a nice little wrap point on looking at the chamber itself, because the leadership is you guys, right? And the ultimate crux on what we're talking about here. And something you said I think is kind of clicking on something of, well, that's why you guys get along so well. Because the first thing that each person that is employed in the chamber thinks, in my opinion, based on how you guys operate, is, what can I give?
Yeah.
And when you have a attitude of giveness to all, and to all a good give. When you have an attitude of wanting to give, it usually means, you have an attitude of gratitude. And having that kind of stem from the top and trickle down, you're going to feel it.
Yeah.
And so when it's natural for the chamber to feel like they want to give, like, I mean, I don't recommend this because I'm not trying to inundate her time. But like I walked by Brooke Nunn's office, I think like 2 meetings ago.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Hey, John, how are you?" You know, that's my best Brooke voice.
That was good.
Sure, yeah. It's like I swallowed Miss Piggy and tried to regurgitate. Okay, so
she doesn't sound like that.
She doesn't sound like that, I promise. She's much more pleasant. She won't scare you. So I walk by and, you know, in the middle of her work, she just starts talking to me and takes a break to make me feel like, hey, I was important for entering the office.
Yeah.
So that's a different attitude in place. And, you know, I mean, one day you'll learn to be that friendly. I'm just kidding. You're totally that friendly.
What the?
I'm totally kidding. You're awesome. And you're the same way. Honestly, we just chatted yesterday in your office. So, yeah, I think that's a great kind of bow on top for just describing you guys.
Thank you.
So, without further ado, I'd like to kind of wrap this up, but I definitely think we're going to be having you on again soon.
Yay.
And I'd love to do, like we said, like a kind of a conglomerate. We'll get you and Brooke on here and Megan, and we're going to force Elaine in.
Oh my gosh.
Even though she's nervous.
She doesn't need to be.
Oh, we'll give her reason.
Yes.
We will make her. No. Yeah. So it'll be a lot of fun, and I'm going to do what I always do to James, which I still have not really seen any return on this yet, James.
Oh, boy.
Where I point at the screen like this.
Okay.
And he has to point a whole bunch of different contact information when I'm pointing on the screen because that sounds like fun.
That
right?
does sound like fun.
Some people don't want to have fun.
I'm doing this too. Sounds like James hates
I love that
this.
he can't
He's
talk and he's just sitting here taking it. This is fantastic. So anyways, no, seriously, guys, I really hope you enjoyed our conversation. Did you have something?
No, I was going to point.
Oh, you're doing it with me?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it back and forth quick.
Hold on.
So
What
you
is
guys
it
hear
for? Like, subscribe?
Oh, I don't
We
even
don't
do
do
that.
that?
I
Okay.
just
Just
you can do
point?
it. Just point. Just like you have a weird disco dance going on. Oh, that's Vanna White status right there. Man, this is a lot of fun. I'm not even going to say it's weird because I'm enjoying myself. Guys, seriously though, I hope you enjoy this podcast. I know a lot of times you get on here and there's a lot of just kind of grit and information because we're just regurgitating, but this is the way that corporate environment should be. There should be a whimsy, a light, a joy to it, and that's why I was so excited to have Sydney on because she has that balance. She understands the professionalism. You'll never get anything but professionalism from her. But look, we can still have fun and enjoy ourselves and, you know, survive a podcast with each other without
so bad.
falling asleep.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you for your time. Please follow all the links that we're going to be putting on. We're going to be on every major distribution forum that you can find, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all the fun stuff. And I guarantee you're going to want to listen to her talk about everything and anything she has to say, and we're going to be bringing her back. So
Whoop, whoop.
you got to have the prequel to see the sequel.
There you go.
All right, there we go. So thanks again, Sydney, for joining us. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys.